Hey everyone, it's your average chess player here. Today we're gonna look at an endgame position. I've been doing endgame positions in my channel recently because I've been like studying endgames to improve at that. So go check out those videos if you want to. This position, it's white's turn to play, and we need to figure out if white can win this position or is it going to be a draw. So we need to calculate that out. So we outright don't know whether this is a winning or a position that you just can draw and you don't have anything better. I like to take my puzzles that way so that um, I improve at my calculation rather than saying like, hey, this position as a tactic, find it. It's always easier to do it that way, but I'm gonna treat it as a position from a game. um, I did solve this already, so I'm gonna walk you through what mistakes I did while solving it, and in my calculation, and what did I lines I missed, and also like walk you through what patterns and nuances that I recognized as I was calculating it, so that I could get to the final solution. You could feel free to pause the video here, and if you and try to find the solution yourself. You could also always watch along and try to go through the position through my eyes. That's all I could say. So let's start. As usual, we'll start with just looking at the material. White has an extra pawn, and it's like a connected pass pawn on the queen side. So that is a strength for white because it's 2 against 1. And then black king is actually closer to a pawn on the h file, so black could always capture and let this pawn queen. So that is kind of a threat that black has. First, what is white's plan here? Right, white's plan is probably we want to look at queening one of these two pawns because we this pawn is going to be captured next move, and there's not really much we can do there. So white has to be queening one of these two pawns, and for that, this pawn should not exist, or we should either capture the pawn with our king, or even like exchange the pawn, one of these two pawns, and so we can queen it. So that is there for sure. The other thing is also like this king has to probably get out of the way of these two pawns so they could roll over. Um, I mean, we could always have a plan of going around and capturing the pawn with your king, but even for that, the king has to move from its current position, because the a pawn cannot move forward without this pawn being eliminated. So if we are capturing with our king, we go this way, and then we maybe can move our b pawn. But if we are planning to exchange one of these two pawns for this, the king definitely has to get out of the way, this side, and so that the pawns can march forward. So that is kind of the plan. We also have to make sure that whatever we do, we need to do it within the time span, like within the tempo of how many moves that black would need to queen his own pawn. So let's quickly check that so that we know how we are going to make this happen. So black is going to spend one move capturing the pawn on h5, and then coming back to, let's say, g4. That's two, and then um, three, four, five, six, and seven. It's almost like 7 moves that black is going to make in order to queen this, and assuming black is not going to like move anything else. So now we need to see how we can go about our own plan. So let's start. I started with the move which was the obvious one to me, which was king a5. The reason being, I could just capture this pawn, and then I queen my pawn. So I wanted to first calculate that. I usually I suggest like we go through a process of elimination to figure out the best move. So in my process of elimination, I eliminated king a4 and king a3 immediately, and also a3 immediately. The reason being, king a4 and king a3 is blocking my own pawn, and that is like wasting a move, which gives black an additional tempo to gain forward. Because if I play king a4, even if I push this pawn and I exchange it, I'm gonna have to spend one more move capturing, and then start queening this pawn, which is like this is already like 1, 2, 3, 4 capturing that, and then 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So that's 9 moves. There's 2 moves over black, what black would have, and black would have queened their pawn by then. So that's why I don't want these two moves. And even a3 feels like a waste of a tempo. So if I do a3 and let's say I move my king away, there's 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Again, there's 9 moves. So those are like so those are the 3 legal moves that I've eliminated already. So that's why I wanted to go with the most direct approach with king a5. So we have king a5. Let's see what black can do. Let's say black takes the pawn on h5. We capture this pawn on a6. Now, the fastest way to queen would probably be just pushing this pawn all the way. So we need to cover like 5 squares. Black also has to do something similar. So after king takes a6, black has the first move with king g4. So 5 moves to queen, 5 moves to queen. Looks like we're both gonna queen at the same time. So we're just gonna play it out on the board. b6, h3, b7, h2, I queen, and black queens. And this position is theoretically a draw. Um, Although like at a lower elo, like I would definitely struggle to draw this. But with best play, this will be a draw. And I think the thumb rule here to draw this position is gonna be um, make sure that you don't blunder your queen through a skewer. And also black shouldn't when I say blunder the queen, it's also would mean don't exchange your queens unless your black king is near the corner, because this is a roof like a rook pile pawn, like a pawn, a flank pawn. So if I can get my king into this corner, it's a draw. So as long as that happens, never exchange your queen. So make sure you don't do that. So for example, let's say white plays a4, and black can like give a check, keep giving checks in any way possible, and black like white can do like a number of things here, but you can't escape checks. Definitely don't blunder by giving a check on c3, because that would mean queen b4, which is a check, and you have to capture, and this pawn is going to queen. So that is the basic thumb rule. Don't blunder your queen either through a skewer, or don't blunder it by whatever example I showed where the queens are exchanged by force, because um, like the white queen blocks the check while checking the black king. So this position is a draw. So let's go back all the way to the start. So king a5 doesn't work from the looks of it. So we won't take that. So after king a5, I thought, okay, so if this doesn't work, maybe I should go to the plan of where I push these 2 pawns and make them queen. So the second move I looked at was king c4, so that I could start moving these pawns and exchanging it. So king c4, and we'll play out the same line with king takes h5, because anything else, I feel like if black plays something like king f3, I feel black is going to be too slow, because you just spent one tempo doing nothing, and black's only win condition here is to queen this pawn. So I'm gonna like keep going through the same lines for black, because that is the only win condition that black has. So king takes h5, and we're gonna play a4. Black will play king g4. I'll play b4. Black plays h5, b5. And here, the only way for black to draw, I think, is to take this pawn. Otherwise, I'm gonna queen in 3 moves, while black will take 4, and um, that's not gonna be in favor of black. So black has to take. And you might also ask, hey, like white is gonna queen in 3 moves even now. What is the difference? Why is this a draw? So let me show you this position. Like why I deem this as a draw, and then we'll go back as to what is the difference. So ab5, h4, b6, h3, will go down the road here, and here if you queen, this is gonna be like a completely equal endgame, and there's nothing much that black like either side can do. It's gonna be like check 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 check. and it's like a complete draw. But if black plays like h4 immediately, here white need not play b6. White is not forced to play b6. White will take on a6, and that is a problem. The reason this is a problem is I'm now 2 steps away from queening, and this is where I noticed this specific detail, which is I now control the queening square of the black pawn, and that was the difference. So like if I at every point I was like, if black doesn't play this, what else can black play? And if white doesn't play this, what else can white play? And that led me to this specific line where I was controlling the queening square. So um, this specific line made me realize that, oh, okay, so although like black can draw this game by taking on b5, there is a it looks like there's a difference between queening on b8 and queening on a8, which is if I queen on b8, I don't control the h1 square when black queens, which will be the next move after I queen, right? But if I queen on a8, it controls the diagonal, and I control h1, and even if black runs with this pawn all the way to h2, you can't queen. So this was an interesting nuance that I realized, and I think this is if I remember correctly, this is one of the characteristics of a pawn race, where especially with flank pawns, you if you queen on the like one of the corner squares, you're gonna control the uh the opposite end of the diagonal. So this led to me realizing something. So the whole reason why this line won't work is because after AB5, it is a check, right? And I have to capture back. Like if I capture with my king here, then black is winning, which is because h4, h3, a6, h2, and now black will queen first and control the diagonal. So it's the same position, but like mirrored. So this won't work. So that's why I had to play ab5, and that is a draw. So the whole point was that because my king is on c4, which is the first move we made, move we made was king c4, right? Because my king is on c4, I I'm forced to do something about it, either capture with my pawn or my king, in which one case is a draw and another case is a loss. I need to go all the way back to my first move and not put my king on c4. So I instead put my king on c5 to see if the whole line works. So now we'll do the same thing. Black takes on h5. I play a4. I think you could start with b4 too if you want to. I don't think it makes a difference. King g4, b4, h5. I'm 4 moves away from queening. Now I can play b5. And here black can play h4, in which case I will play the same move as before, which is b takes a6 and queen here to control this. If black doesn't play h4 and black plays ab5, now is the point where the detail that we noticed earlier, which is we still want to queen on the a8 square. We don't want to queen on b8 square. So if I play ab5, this is pretty much the same position as with the king on c4. There's no difference. So here we need to play the move a5. And now black, whatever black does, we win. So black can play h4, and then we play a6, and we will queen first, right? We'll queen first and control this diagonal. Whatever black plays, if black plays king g3 with the threat of king f2, I can even simply I can take this pawn, and if black plays king f2 to come to g1, I can even just permanently park my queen there, and black can never get to the pawn, like king g3, and now I bring my king close and eventually capture this pawn and checkmate the black king. So that is the line. So instead of taking on b5, you have to push a6, and nothing else works. Like if I play a6 and you play b4, I can just capture this pawn, and the whole sequence still plays the same. That is the position that we solved today. Like I found it really interesting, and so after I solved this, I also like I always like usually verify my solution with an engine, and also like I also check for alternate moves. King c3 also wins here. It's the same thing as king c5. And like a4 also works here as a first move, because you're not blocking. So like I said, a3 is a draw because of the loss of tempo. a4 is still winning, provided that you still play king c5 or king c3. And I think even king a3 works here, because it's just the two pawns that need to advance forward. So with this variation, a4 also works, where you can play king a3. um, yeah, so to recap, we realized that we have connected pass pawns, and black is going to capture our pawn. So our game plan was to queen one of these two pawns, and like preferably capture this pawn with our king, or exchanged one of these pawns and queen them. And when we went with the direct approach with king a5, we realized it is a draw, because the fastest way to queen was to queen with this pawn, and we queen on b8, and a black queen on h1, and then we saw there's a perpetual check. Then we tried out the move king c4, and then we realized that if we go down the same line, we have to play b5, and black then plays a b5, which puts us in check, and we have to do something about this pawn. And then we have to, like, if we capture it with this pawn, then it is a draw again. But we also like then realize that if black plays h4 and we play b6 here, it's going to be a draw. But if we play b takes a6 and queen on a8, we win, because we control the queening square of black. And that led us to the fact that, oh, if the whole point was this move ab5 was forcing us to capture, so if our king wasn't there on a light square here, especially c4, we could win this game. So that's why we played king c5, and then we played the whole variation through, and then we realized like a5 is the winning move and not ab5, so that we queen and control the queening square, and then we can just block the king off and capture the pawn and checkmate the black king. uh, I like this puzzle. Really like this puzzle. Like, it's like small nuances that is there, and also like a good learning of how you things that you need to know, remember when dealing with race against flank pawns. And I think we would face similar positions in our own games, which makes this like a very valuable learning. I hope you guys enjoy this video. Please like the video and subscribe to the channel if you like my content. And I do a bunch more. I've done a bunch more endgame videos in the channel recently. So have a look at them and see if you like them too. Catch you guys in the next one.